Oh, hi everyone. Salt. I am still trying to figure out how this whole BoF thing works, but I'm gonna invite everyone to, I guess, join me on Jitsi. I have the pad open as well, but let's see. I guess I'll put it in. If anyone would like to come on audio or video, this is calling all FLOSS founders, so it's for free Libre open source software founders, those interested in it, those involved in it. Hello. Let's see. I think because I'm gonna have more of you, I'm gonna switch up which audio device I'm using for everyone's sanity. All right.
Do you hear me okay, Salt?
I do. Can you still hear me?
Yep, that's fantastic.
Excellent. Cool. Yeah, so let's see. Not sure if I'd call this a birds of a feather per se, but it definitely is to some extent. The kind of, I don't know, Kaylea here and myself conceptualized this. Boy, I don't remember when we first ran it. I think in 2019 at Linux Fest Northwest, and it's we have a whole study protocol that's in person and involves tables and consent forms and all of that, but I don't think that's quite what this is going to be here. But the goal is to kind of dig into this question about what are the like traits of successful and unsuccessful projects and project founders. And to that end, we have a number of questions that we came up with to kind of prompt and discuss and think about it. I have those questions up here. I think
let me just jump in, Salt, and say if you are lurking on the IRC channel and watching this broadcast, please join us in the Jitsi for a live interactive chat. This is lurking is lovely, but participating is awesome. So please feel free to just click on that Jitsi link and come on over. Or you're just going to have to listen to the five of us talk, which is not nearly so exciting as putting in your own €2. So please jump in.
Yeah, thank you, Kaylea. That's totally true. And Paul, you asked a question here about if it's for founders or contributors. It's for folks who are interested in founding, whether or not you have founded a project before.
Yes. Oh, that makes sense because that makes sense because I am interested in this, so I am in the meeting. I was just wondering if it was just for founders only,
No, absolutely.
I was a little confused.
Yeah. Yeah. Cool. I'm seeing more folks pop in. It's excellent. And as again, I put the Jitsi link in the Etherpad. So if you're looking for that, that's the place to find it.
Great. And just to facilitate discussion, we want to use a protocol here. Salt, stop me if you think I'm off base. For just kind of people jumping in, which is if you could please put your initials in the Jitsi chat, which will appear if you click on the little three dots, you can bring that chat up. And that lets us kind of take turns. Yeah, so Paul would be next. We'd say, hey, if you put your initials in the chat, that means you want to talk. Then we'll just call on you. If you don't actually want to talk, then you can always cancel it. But as we ask questions and so on, just to keep the conversation going, go ahead and speak and based on your initials. So you put your initials in. When the person ahead of you finishes, they just call on the next person. So we'll just kind of let it flow that way between person to person rather than going through a moderator, bounce back and forth from me to you. Just keep an eye on. We'll just keep an eye on that chat, and probably Salt and I will like vamp to like fill any dead space. But please, we're just trying to kind of kick off a conversation. So put your initials in the chat if you want to speak. You can always throw in your 2 cents or €2 in just the chat if you have a comment only. But if you put in your initials, it means you want to talk. When you finish speaking, just call in the next person based on their initials, and then we'll just kind of keep going back and forth like that. As Salt said, yeah, we have some like seed questions, but we also, this is trying to be a birds of a feather session like we'd have at a table. So please feel free to just kind of step in and participate in the conversation, and we'll just kind of keep this rolling.
Kaylea, you're great. Thank you. All right. Yeah, so I guess just the first kind of breadcrumb here is asking about, explain your experience with free software, right? How much time have you spent creating, maintaining, supporting this stuff? Just kind of a 30-second intro. And I'll kick it off here, and then again, putting your initials in the chat so we can go around. But I'm Salt, Seattle, and I got into free software really early, like 25-ish plus years ago, and I don't develop all that much, but I've contributed a few projects here and there. Lately, I've been researching in grad school mostly, but I also run the Seattle GNU Linux conference, and I'm part of Snowdrift.coop, where we're trying to change the funding models for this stuff, and I do a lot of our stuff. But this is my place, so yeah, love it. I spend too much time, maybe not too much, not enough.
All right, let me introduce myself too. I'm Kaylea Champion. I'm a PhD candidate at University of Washington, same research team as Salt's coming to you from. My first Linux was Slackware in 1994, which I installed using floppies that I stole from the computer lab at the university. Been loving free software ever since then. I do research on groovy things like Linux and Wikipedia, thinking about how people cooperate, work together to build what we now know to be just the amazing backbone of society right now. So why don't we see, does anybody else would like to introduce themselves? If you can just stick your initials in the chat, we'll just keep passing. I can go ahead and pass.
I've been using
live streaming is on.
Sorry, I've been using Linux since 1999 or 2000, something like that. I've been using Debian since 2005. Lately, I started contributing to the Clojure team. I got funding through GSOC, and I packaged a few things. Hopefully, I would like to become a developer in the upcoming months. I don't know when, probably by the end of the year, probably later, we'll see. I'm very happy to contribute. I've been interested in work on and in research on Libre software for a long time already. And yeah, I'm very interested in that. And with respect to specific projects, I started a small project like Magic the Gathering implementation in Clojure because I want to improve my skills in that language. With respect to groups, I founded and chaired a local group in my hometown, San Juan, Argentina, for over like 4 or 5 years, and it was like long time ago, and between 2002 and 2005, more or less. And yeah, and that's it basically. So yeah, I'm working at the university right now, teaching, but it has nothing to do with free software, unfortunately. And yeah, I'm very excited to be here, really. That's all. Thank you very much.
All right. Thank you. And so I'm looking down the list here. I think Rohit's first.
Hello. So I have not been using Linux since 1994. That's really impressive, but I did install Debian from floppies in 1996, or 97. So a little while. I've been using Linux forever. I do write software. I don't think I've made anything like significant enough to become an open source project. But for a while, I was working at Intel, and the software that I worked on is now open source. It wasn't when I worked at Intel. So that's just another model that software can be released, but it is still like centrally managed by a company. And I think for a community individual, the pushback might be difficult. And that's it. Thanks.
And do you want to call the next person there?
Oh, yeah. Next person.
So I think it's Gaga.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah.
Okay. Hi. I've been a long time open source contributor since I learned computers at young age. I'm only 20, but since the beginning, very interested in Linux, etc. Yeah, I do a lot of open source during my free time as now, and also at work, I'm pushing for open source and manage actually to contribute back to libraries during work time. So pretty good situation if you ask me. I don't know what else I can tell about me. Maybe we'll discuss later. And let's see what Paul has to say.
Hello, I'm Paul Flaherty. I am a student, and I have been interested in Linux and open source for years now, ever since 2015. I have went to many conferences, learned a lot, and I have been doing a lot of open source, just learning about open source and trying to help contribute to accessibility for people with disabilities like autism or ADHD. I know a lot of people in the community, and I have a lot of insight on accessibility features that would be able to help, that would be able to be implemented into software like GNOME and KDE and other distributions, core software, and especially I mainly focused on accessibility for desktop environments, but mainly I am interested in I'm interested in open source as a whole, and I would like to learn a lot more about computer science and programming someday. I'm still getting there, still learning, but I'm so happy I get to be involved with open source projects.
Alrighty, I think I'm up next. Hi, Mark Pearson. So, probably a little bit different. So I'm the technical lead for the Lenovo Linux PC team, but I attended this because one of the things I'm trying to do is get my team to contribute more directly to the community. So I'm kind of spoiled in that I have paid engineers and problems and products, and I'm trying to get them to actually contribute. And I'm finding they're shy, they're a bit nervous. I'm mainly here to learn what works, but I'm happy to answer any questions. I have contributed to the kernel myself. I've been doing Linux for a while, a long time. Great hair. That's me. Over to Zuck, I believe.
Yeah, I think you're right. I think I missed someone on my list here. Thank you. So yeah, Zuck or Yori? Not sure. Zuck? We can't hear you or see you.
We might just have to move on.
Yeah.
Sorry, Yori / Zuck.
So
And I think it's me. I'm Paul, or nickname Elbrus. I'm the one of the release team members, and I was mostly involved in getting the Bullseye release out. And I had to push and pull on a lot of people while doing that. So that's the main thing, I guess. So then it's Floris.
Oh, we can't hear you. I think you're muted in Jitsi, it looks like.
Yes,
Yep.
yes.
Okay.
So hello everyone, my name is Floris. I first started using Linux and contributing because those events were very close. 10 years ago when I was in high school. I went to Google Summer of Code 2014 and I contributed to both KDE and Debian. And then, I kind of took a break from open source, been using Debian and Linux in my day-to-day job, but didn't contribute. And now I'm starting again to contribute and currently hacking on the packages site that we have and trying to make it more contributable and, just to review the docs and so on. So thanks. Next one is Rhonda.
Hi, can you hear me? Okay, yeah. I'm Rhonda. I've been with Debian since the whole century. But I'm mainly involved with the website team. I started to create a team at one point, and then with the website redesign, I sort of started to get also involved with the backports team. And 5 years ago, we started the diversity team within the Debian project, which is sort of get it more known that the Debian distribution is open to contributors from regardless of background, and for that we created the team to create more visibility for that. So that's mostly the project I sort of started and never created a free software project in that sense. More a social one.
Great, thank you. Is there anyone else who joined and wants to do an intro? If not, we'll get off to the first question here. Yeah, so I love the diversity and where folks are coming from. So the next question I kind of want to go into, and we can work on this, discuss a little while, and share thoughts, is what do you think are the most important decisions in getting a project going? And what do you look for when you're deciding to join one? Again, if you want to put initials in the chat in Jitsi for queuing up. Paul?
Yes, so could you first rephrase the question?
So when you're starting a project, when you're getting something started, what are the most important decisions? And then if you're not starting a project, what are the most important decisions when you're considering what project to join?
Yes, I can answer this one. So I've never started an open source project on my own, but I think I would be doing it someday. But when I'm looking to join a project, I'm asking first if they meet the needs of my idea of what open source is, and if they understand, like, this is pretty hard to explain. If they understand how, like, what their philosophy is with, just a second, with, sorry about this, with their ideas surrounding just 1 second. Can I talk last? I need to get my thoughts together.
No problem. We can you can put yourself back in the queue whenever you want. So let's go on to Gegeth.
Hi. I both write a lot of open source myself and try to contribute. So for my own project, I'm the benevolent dictator for life. So my needs are pretty covered because I decide. But for other projects, one thing that have kept me from contributing a lot of times is the contributor license agreement, CLA, something like this, that developers have to sign or agree to. And the particular offender here is Google. I have a lot of patches for Google software, but I cannot upstream them because I have to create a Google account and then sign their CLAs on their website or something. So it's really hard to do, and I don't want to waste time on this. But the patches are ready, so it's quite a waste of resources. On the other side, a very easy to contribute project. I just create a fork, create a branch, and create pull request. No issues because I know how to code. So I propose pull requests, and they usually get merged or discussed. So they are really the two opposites, in my opinion, of ease of contribution. And yeah, that's it. So next one would be Floris, FA.
Hello. Right, so didn't really start many projects on my own, but I did contribute to a fair share of projects. And the number one thing that I'm looking at is like how accessible is it for developers to contribute. So for example, I look at the documentation. Is it, well documented? Can I simply, start it in like, 5 to 10 minutes of, working out the documentation? Can I do like a very simple change and see, the results of my change? Because what I've noticed is that bigger projects are very easy to contribute to. So you basically just download it, run the tests. You can run the tests, you can run the project very easily, and then you can simply make a pull request and submit your code. So that is very important. And the other important thing is how do you track issues in that project? So it's very important to me to have a clear overview of things that I can do, like in order of maybe easiest to hardest, or what are the highest priorities and so on. It's very important because like new contributors usually they look for the low-hanging fruits and start there just to get more acquainted with the project. And I think the third thing that I'm also looking for when contributing to a project is basically what sort of community is built around that project. How many people actually use it? It's not just a toy. What's the impact of that particular project inside that community? And yeah, that's it from me. And I think the next one is Paul.
Yep, sorry about that. That sometimes happens to me sometimes when I lose my train of thought. But what I was going to say was that so when I look at joining an open source project, I actually look at the aspect of neurodiversity. So, for example, people with autism and ADHD like me, how easy is it for them? How accessible is it to them? And if it's not, if features are not as accessible to the people, I could come in and share my ideas, say, hey, look, in GNOME on control XYZ ABC, this doesn't look accessible for me. And then other people in the community say, oh, we want this feature. I see this feature in OS XYZ, but it's not in GNOME. You know what I'm saying? And I try to help get that and try to help. And I'm so happy that the communities like Debian and most of all the open source communities are open to people like us who are open, who are disabled like me and love computers and are passionate about computers. We're very intelligent people, and I'm so happy that everybody, including us and everybody on this planet, is welcome. It makes our planet look more inclusive, and I'm so happy that people get to volunteer and work together as a community. And this is what a community is. A community is a diverse community of people, no matter of ability or setback. They all just work together,
I wanted to jump in and just reflect a research finding. And sometimes research is conducted without actually having direct conversations with the people doing the work, which is why I try to bring that perspective and then ask you to kind of reflect, like, does this really match your experience? What a lot of research will report about people who participate in free libre open source is that they start out with this kind of scratching their own itch kind of story that gets told, like, I use this software, I love it, I needed something extra to be added to it, so I decided to see about getting it added. You know, another sort of kind of variant of that is like something on the lines of, well, I really love this package, but it doesn't do what I want in these ways, or it's old and crufty and I don't like it, or it's licensed in a way that I can't use it, so I wrote my own, here you go. That sort of following your own personal kind of intrinsic, but also maybe a little bit like selfish in not that giving something away for free could ever be selfish, but kind of self-interested, driven by your own passions or energies. And I wonder if that story resonates for you, or if you indeed kind of feel like there's so many projects out there that most of the time what you're doing is shopping for a project to be involved in among 100 that you could be involved in because you sort of love them all or find them all interesting. And so you're just looking for a niche. Versus sort of a maybe earlier days when there was maybe a little more of an open field where certain things just didn't exist. If there wasn't GIMP, we would have had to invent it by now, right? Passing to Rhonda, I don't know if you have a comment that ties to that, or you want to go back to previous discussion. That's totally fine either way.
Yeah, maybe it scratches the surface of the topic. With respect to what I find interesting to dig into a project is usually if I have sort of a feeling how the community works in there, and if I can see a place for me in that community. Because when you invest more and more time into a project, you need to feel safe or be seen there. I mean, a lot of people that I know that are contributing to different projects are sort of, at least to me, it looks like they're doing it for exposure, to have their names and for recognition. And that's a huge driving force for a lot of people within free software projects, especially for those that start new projects which are similar to other existing ones, which is absolutely fine. But for me, a project that I want to get involved with needs to feel safe, and there needs to be sort of a community feeling, family feeling, somewhat of a connection. Yeah, I'm done.
All right, thank you. Yeah, HJ? We still can't quite hear you. Not sure if your mic's back on. I'm hoping we can get you in before long. HJ/Yori. Do we? No. So Elbrus.
Yeah, so the irony is that I was really looking for ways to contribute to Debian when I joined Debian. So I came from a platform that we set up as a student association to have a server where student associations from over the country could actually join, and we built a community there, really sharing stuff. And we built that on a Debian server. So I was, after I finally got away from the university, I was looking for how can I contribute to Debian. So I was searching for software that people wanted, and I didn't really care about, because basically whatever I need was already done. And the funny thing for me was indeed that there's so much more around Debian than only the software. And that's for me where the interest was in the end. So goes to Paul. Sorry.
Yeah, no, before Paul, you already typed out, so I want to make sure to get this in. Or HJ, I'm not sure what name you'd prefer on that, but they said, when I'm looking to help a project, I first check how hard it is to contribute. And if it's too complicated, for example, you have to visit lots of web pages to find the source code, I usually don't bother. So yeah, and then to Paul. Paul, you're muted if you'd like to add to this.
Yes, I was going to say, I do agree with what was mentioned regarding the open source software features, but I'm saying, I was going to go back to what Kaylea was saying. Kaylea, I'm sorry if I'm pronouncing your name wrong. I am just saying that the features aren't just for me. The features are to help out the community, because I know a lot of people in the community that are saying that want the same exact features. Like, for example, highlighted buttons in a calendar field, but people look at it and they don't understand where we're coming from, because sometimes people need to have the experience of the disability to know what the feature is. You know what I'm saying? But to make the system more inclusive, so I know a lot of proprietary systems, I'm not going to name for copyright reasons, have features like buttons that are highlighted, or fields that are able to be highlighted, that are other cognitive accessibility features that are not, some are not in Libre software, but maybe we can add them. That's what I like doing, trying to talk to people in the community. I don't just, like, I talk to people in the autistic community, in the Linux community. I know a lot of people in the community who want those features, and I even start a group on Telegram, Worldwide Accessibility for All. I'm just telling people you could join it if you want, and I have a lot of insight. I just have a group with 3 people. I work with 3 people on just different accessibility related stuff, that are in the open source community, in the GNOME community.
Right. I put my initials in here. I kind of wanted to jump back. Something that Gaga said at the beginning or earlier on about the CLAs, and I kind of wanted to. This gets to something Paul mentioned here. There's this side of like ease and kind of the technical barriers, but what do people think about kind of the like philosophical barriers? Specifically, like to the CLA question, is it just the amount of time and resources, and that's your blocker, or do you actually not want to side the CLA? Is kind of where to ask it pretty pointedly. Okay. You're muted, or we can't see or hear, or I can't. Does it to others? Okay. Well, let's go to Elbrus.
Yeah, so for a bit, it's the effort to go through such a document feels quite high. I mean, it's something that you're basically signing, which is a bit awkward. So I don't think I've ever did that, although I'm not sure, depending on the contribution that I have, if I would not do that. But it feels like a barrier that is a bit hard to take.
Great, thank you.
Yeah.
It looks like back to Gaga.
Yeah, sorry. To me, it's both. In the sense that you have the feeling of signing something with your blood and your name attached on it, and somehow my name can end up in Google somewhere in a database or something. And Google is worse than that because you have to create a Google account to sign. So it's, if I remember correctly, you actually have to create a Gmail and everything to sign the CLA. You cannot do this just by your name or via the platform. So it's really harsh to give these details to Google. And the other point is it also takes a lot of time that is not technical, but feels like bureaucracy. And I think in my daily job, I deal with too much bureaucracy to to waste my own time doing bureaucracy. If working in a corporate environment, I would take the time, but on my personal time, I will not provide my time to do paperwork. Also, to finish, one thing that's very important is ease of workflow. For example, in GitHub or GitLab, I know how to contribute really fast because I know these interfaces. But for something else, you have to find the mailing list, you have to find the repo, you have to learn a new repo if it's not Git, but something else. So yeah, I probably only contribute on GitHub and GitLab today, most of the days. So that's another point to discuss later. And the next person will be, I guess, Elbrus did talk, so maybe it's Paul.
Yes, I was just going to say a couple things about CLAs as well, what you were mentioning. So I know some software programs that are not Libre or free or open source that they have a CLA, but they only have an accept button for some strange reason, and they do not let you decline or you shut down the computer's operating system. I'm not going to name the OS because I think everybody knows it already. The operating system, you go into setup, it says, do you want to agree to use blah, 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 blah. And it says accept or you cannot decline. But if you do accept it, they can control your updates. They can control what you're doing on your computer. They want the experience they want you to have. And it's just I'm so happy. It's pretty sad indeed. I'm so happy that with the GPL, you have freedom and that's like not allowed, and that I can control my computer the way I want to, and big giant Fortune 500 company cannot control my computer. You know what I'm saying? And I can actually make my own projects, and I can redistribute it with the freedom, and I have freedom to make software and redistribute it and do whatever I want with it. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah, thank you. I think next up is Kaylea.
Yeah, I just wanted to invite folks to kind of reflect on what kind of low barriers to entry or easy, like kind of looks like, smells like, tastes like. The comment about GitHub and GitLab is really very interesting. I'm really keyed into that. But also, what does inclusive, smell like, taste like, look like specifically? We all want to feel invited and we all want it to be easy, but what's that really look like in practice? What are some signals? Or maybe on the other side, what are some bad smells? What are some like terrible, like, oh no, I don't want to go anywhere near that particular community project, whatever. It's driving me away because of these factors. So please be as specific as you can. I know that it's hard to think in abstract, but the more specific you are, I think the more helpful the discussion could be. Flores, did you want to kick in here?
Muted. Sorry. Flores? You're muted in Jitsi. Yeah. We see you talking, but you're muted in Jitsi. Oh, okay.
I think he's having network issues. Maybe he can just restart his router or restart his Wi-Fi.
Yep. Well, Flores, are you back yet?
Can you?
There you go. Yep, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Right, so riffing on what Kaylea said. So basically, like even 10 years ago when I started contributing, anonymous contributions were kind of welcome, right? you can you can put your name to things, because it's like we're all doing free and open source. It's like for us it's a pride, it's something that we contribute in our spare time, usually after work, we put great attention in that, and lots of time. But if you don't want your name to be attached, you should be able to do that. It's your freedom, it's just code. At the end of the day, what you contribute, it's either your time or your skills or whatever. So you should be able to go like anonymous if you want. And this is like a sign that I look for, like even when contributing to a project. So for example, on GitHub, and you can still contribute to some projects. You can still contribute to them anonymously. But for example, a while back, I contributed to the Docker CLI, and they had this weird thing where you needed to like sign your name to the commit, like to every commit, you need to sign your name. And I found that to be quite ridiculous. It's like that's a barrier for me, to be honest. And on some projects, when you look at the like how many pull requests there are and so on, like a bad sign would be if, for example, the maintainers do not share responsibility. So you either have like one single maintainer who doesn't, because this is open source. Like we are all huge bus factors. That's the thing. And if, for example, a maintainer doesn't share rights to that repo to someone else, doesn't share the responsibility, because this is I think one of the most important things in open source software is that you need to share. You need to be able to trust people very, very easily to do this. And not sharing that responsibility leads to like some pretty good projects that die over time, simply because the maintainer doesn't have enough time to handle everything, or is like a not so benevolent dictator, and nothing gets through. He wants to have his vision. He doesn't maybe forks are impossible for that project, and so on. So this is like just riffing on what Kaylea said, what I think about this. Right, so the next one is, I guess, I have no idea who is the next person.
I think perhaps Leandro. We haven't heard from you.
Okay. Just to remember, we have 2 minutes now.
I think Gaga is first.
You go. I already talked. You go.
Okay. Yeah, I think that the first thing I pay attention to is the civic level of the conversation. If the way people express themselves is violent, or probably aggressive would be the word, I feel a bad smell there. Sometimes people are rude, but because I remember this from when I used to work on social networks. People believe that as there is no live audience, they are talking to the wall. So they believe they can say whatever they want, and no one will get affected by that, nor they will get any consequence of that. And I think that's a very bad sign. I remember I popped into a Discord group of a project I wanted to contribute to, and I got only, not insults, but very rude treatment, so I just left without doing much, really. So probably that's the first thing I pay attention to, how people treat themselves and others.
All right. Well, thank you very, very much. Thank you, everyone. We are out of time here, but this is a conversation sure interested in continuing. So please do reach out. Yeah. Anything else?
And thank you all very much. This is really enlightening, and I really appreciate the thoughtful community that we've had a chance to engage with just a little bit here. So thank you guys very much.
Bye.
Thank you. I'm going to enjoy the rest of DebConf. Have a great day.
Thanks for the session.